Decide.
Live now.
All right, there we go. Woo!
Welcome everyone to season 5, episode 14 of the Musty Wargamers show. And looks like, see who we've got in the house here. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty, but I think we're fine. I just wanted to see my channel here. Here we go. We've got 2 people watching.
Well, I know.
All right, I think I'm all set.
I'm there.
All right. 1 watching, 2 watching. What is it? All right. So how's it going, Rusty?
Not too bad. Did I just freeze up? No, I did not. There we go.
We've got Cat Hill Mech Works. That sounds like a BattleTech fan. I'm just assuming it might be.
Most definitely. Not
right.
Too bad. It's the same problem you've been having, is hit and miss with the free time to be able to get anything done around here. It's like I scheduled the last 2 days to go do some work, and it's like, no, I never even made it to my desk.
Yeah, I've had a real, I'm going to do a little bit of show my progress. It's really actually kind of sad that on the last 3 shows, I've had the same models and even like 20 millimeter models on my desk. I have in the last week done nothing. Like I've done absolutely nothing. And so I am hoping to get some stuff done tonight painting wise, and I'm hoping to turn the corner on that. Work's just been crazy for me and have not been very productive.
You did accomplish sending me a picture of Venom and Mysterio.
I'm going to show you. I was going to show that on here tonight too. Yeah, I could show you them. Like that's the thing we do as miniature painters, is when we're in a slump and we're not doing anything, we make our piles even bigger. In order to enjoy our hobby, we just spend money to show more sculptures coming in that are unpainted. Yeah, it's very logical, right?
I've been actually, my pile of shame is getting, I scraped about a millimeter off the top of it. It may be 50 feet tall. I just scraped a millimeter. I broke out some of the 2019 Gen Con haul that I had. I had a big bag of mechs and vehicles and stuff. Well, I took a few of them and primed them.
Yeah. I've got whole genres of miniatures that are in my pile now. Like I've got World of Twilight and Burrows and Badgers and Infinity, and I've got like huge swaths of stuff. Yeah.
There's a big pile of Star Wars miniatures right here. It's in the pile of shame. That
French Indian War.
Oh my God, yes.
Warhammer Fantasy. All that stuff. I still have.
Don't talk about Warhammer Fantasy miniatures, because that's so wrong.
I have the AD&D Battle Systems 15 mil, all that stuff to paint. I've got I could just paint forever at this point. I've got all that Works in Goblins that I bought.
Yeah.
That's Warhammer Fantasy, but I've got multiple things. I got the Old Hammer High Elves, the Middle Hammer Works in Goblins, and more Beastmen still to do.
Well, I have to say that my painting challenge that I said was supposed to be done by the end of May. Well, it was done, but I have even taken the effort of making the video saying it's done.
Well, I remember you showing those the last time that they were primarily done. I am not done. I'm not even close done with my challenge. But I do. What I can say is the miniatures that I'm showing tonight and that I'm working on tonight are pretty close to being done, and I'm really happy with them. I mainly have to work on the base and some of the special effects around Scarlet Witch, but Scarlet Witch herself and Quicksilver are looking really good. I haven't inked them like I do with the normal comic mitt stuff, but they're looking pretty good. But why don't we actually just why don't you go first and show what you'd like to show, your drink as well, in any order you want, and anything you're working on, stuff that you want to show.
I might as well get this drink breathing. Tonight we got Dewar's Caribbean Smooth. with the glass.
Nice.
It's got that. Oh yeah, it smells like Dewar's, but with a little bit of rum, spiced rum aspect.
Oh, nice. It's a nice touch.
Color to it. One of those things I picked up last October with our local store chain. Well, it's not really local anymore. It's like in like 6-7 states now, but they have a sale, a liquor sale, wine and spirit sale, I guess they call it. And so I went there. You could buy a bottle of Dewar's, I think, for like $18. So I made sure I bought a bunch of it. Well, that smells. It's like nice caramel smell to it. What do you call it? Kind of a ripe plum, raisin, cane.
Nice.
Oh, it's definitely good.
BattleTech.
Now, stuff I've been working on. I got this small commission here that I've been slowly grinding on when I get an opportunity. The problem is when you get a commission, they say, well, just work on it whenever you feel like it. Well, then I don't really work on it. It's like if I got a deadline, I know I got to get done by, I just like burn the midnight oil and don't do anything. But I've been working on these guys. It's like I got a hunchback, and it's like they're supposed to be ghost bears. Let me see this little guy here. Oh, there.
Oh, looks nice.
Yeah, he's a nice little guy.
Now, these are the newer ones.
Yes, these are the plastics.
Yeah, they look good.
Yeah.
They look kind of chunky, kind of cool looking.
They're light, but they still got weight, and you could drop them.
Can I see the smaller one again? Of the two, one was smaller and one was wider.
Yeah, the hunchback 2C.
Yeah, there's your hunchback. So is that what did you call it? A hunchback what?
2C.
Is that the 2 Canon? Is that what 2C is for?
It's got 2 AC-20 Ultras, one at each shoulder. So it can do 80 damage. And the last battle I faced in one of these, I had a Masakari Warhawk, and it ran up on me and double pumped into me and actually hit with both of them, which hardly ever hits.
Yeah.
And then it hit with both, and then it double pumped. So it was like, so I got hit with 4 AC-20 hits, and I took 80 damage. And instead of spreading it all around, he just put it all into one leg. So it blew my leg off. But I came back. It was like one of those things. I was like, "Hey, he's down," and I was like, "Okay."
Putting it all in one leg, is that a pilot skill thing?
Yeah, well, it's an auto fall. So you lose a leg, you automatically fall over.
No. I mean, in order to not spread it around, was it just randomly put in one leg, or?
Oh yeah, he's like he kept rolling. He was like he rolled 3 5s. It's like blew the leg off, right up into the torso, did some damage. I think he hit the other leg too. It's like all legs.
Oh, okay.
And it's like he blew the leg off, and I went fell over, and they like, "Hey, he's down," and I was like, "Okay." I rolled the dice, and it's like I was right back up on one leg, and they go, "Oh no!" They're like, "Oh yeah, the guy with the one gunnery with the targeting computer with all pulse weapons. Congratulations, this hunchback 2C. You're toast."
So is that what you got there? Marauder
2C.
Okay.
Another clan mech, and then the Behemoth Stone Rhino.
Cool. Which
is interesting is that it was been the Behemoth. It was called the Behemoth for like 10 years, and then they turned around and retconned it, called it the Stone Rhino, which is annoying because you learn all the names of everything at one name, and then they turn around and rename everything because, hey, we were a new company, so we got to rename everything. And it's like, well, it's not its name. Well, yeah, it is. That's what it was called forever and a day, but annoying.
Cool.
So I got those. Here we go. I've got some vehicles. I've got these two little guys. These are Saladins, hover tanks, inner sphere hover tanks with an AC-20 on it. It's like a little 35-ton mech, or not vehicle. Goes 812 with an AC-20. and then a couple condors here, and then we got the scimitars. So these all got primed last week, and I just basically got some work done on them over the weekend. And those are that's a harasser. And then we got some Saracens and some J. Eggers. So these are ones I picked up. Some of these are no longer production type things. They've changed the molds on them or something.
The metal ones?
Yeah, they changed sculpts on them.
Nice.
I got those, and then I got the also, depending on how much I get done tonight, I'll start working on these. You can see there's some work done on. Well, I got the tunics and the pants done on these, and I got some flesh done.
What are those again?
American Civil War Union troops.
Oh, right. I remember when you had those all laid out. Yeah. Like you've had those out before the challenge. You had those out kind of getting them ready.
Got them primed back at late March. I think it was early April. Yeah. And I slowly been working. That's another one of these projects. Like I'm supposed to work on them, but he says there's no hurry, no rush. Just get them done when you get them done. So.
Yeah. Good.
So I got those.
That's got a lot on your plate.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll show my musty drink tonight is a simple Corona. Except because I thought we might be having some fun tonight, I actually grabbed two. Got it. That's really a small amount in the bottom of the whiskey glass. Like a Corona is really just like a shot of,
That amount of alcohol is probably less than this glass.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's why I grabbed two, just because I figured I'm kind of thirsty tonight, and I do have an extra early morning of work tomorrow. I have to be there for 7 a.m., which is not usually what I do. And so I didn't want to go. I didn't want to do two of those of what you have in your hand, because it is a weeknight. And but I thought, I'll grab maybe over the course of the 3 hours, have a couple drinks. But so there's that, and what I've got on the table to show. I'll just show the guys that I'm working on here.
Hi, Bill.
Oh, hey, Bill. So I've got, you guys have seen me working on Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I'm going to see if I can, let me get in close here. The camera. See how I can. I got in there, painted the eyes and everything, and I am pretty happy with the way these guys are coming along. The light is, as usual, bleaching out a lot of the shadows that are in this miniature right now that you can't see because of. You might be able to see a little bit there, like some of the.
If you held your hand over top and put some shadow over it,
you can see it a bit more. Detail. Yeah, you can see it a bit more that way. But in any case, I am happy with how these Quicksilver is coming out. I am going to still use the black shade or the black lining that I do to do comic style miniatures. Tonight I'm going to work on painting the base and working. This is actually only has one coat of paint on it. It's going to be flame and rock. There's rocks in there and it's going to be an explosion. I just have like a deep black red just as an undercoat to start that. I also have Scarlet Witch, which I also think is coming out pretty good. And again, it is hard. See how you can see it there, some of the differences that I've done in the red.
See the details
and so I'm working on that, and I'm going to work on. I'm painting the sort of magic, sort of like a crimson color, scarlet color, and what I'm going to do is just do some highlighting on that in addition to the base potentially tonight. I painted it darker than like her outfit, just to have some contrast with it, but still be like the Scarlet Witch. Because if you look at like the box art, it's still like the same color, as her. It's like Scarlet Witch. I painted it a bit darker, and I'm gonna highlight it up. I think I'll like it a bit more. And we've got Quicksilver there. That's like the flame with the rock that I was talking about. So yeah, so I have to paint that stuff up still. I thought if I can, depending on how productive I am, I thought I'd work a little bit on the weapons of the trolls, the Chaos Trolls, because I'll be doing the Chaos Trolls next. So that's about it. I mean, I've been going. I'm going to switch cameras here again. I've been going real slow because I haven't been painting much lately. But again, though, I am kind of happy with the way they came out. Oh, one thing I guess I can show it here. I don't really need the close-up camera. But what Rusty was talking about earlier is even though I'm not painting, I actually ordered these in November from my local store, and they just called me that they got them in. Isn't it? That's kind of crazy. But I got the Kingpin. He's a one-character pack. So he's like a leader within the Marvel Crisis Protocol of the crime syndicate. And so my criminals are going to be sort of led by the Kingpin. And Rusty's never heard of this character. I had to explain who he was. He was just sort of like, who is this odd
Who's this Kingpin?
Yeah, odd character. And then I did minimize it.
Hang on a second. I got to make a call. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, it's me. They're talking about this guy called Kingpin. You know him? Okay. Yeah. Really? You say he's in? No, he was in prison. Oh, how'd he get out? All right. Oh, okay. I'll let you go. You got. What was that dinking sound in the background?
Is Matt saying he couldn't find his phone? They can't see where his phone is.
Oh, you're out. Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. Later.
Matt can't see where his phone is currently.
He said something about he's interrogating somebody. Right. He must have been doing a deposition or something.
So then I got this pack, and it has Carnage and Mysterio. The only real reason I got this is to get Mysterio, and it's not a gaming decision, like in that, it's mainly because I was a Spider-Man freak as a kid, the cartoon and the comics. I always loved Mysterio, thought he was so cool. And it just so happens, whether or not Mysterio is really great in the game, this sculpt, from what I've seen, is one of the, I might have to actually fix this up a bit. I really think that this sculpt is one of the better MC, sculpts for the game. Like I just think they knocked it out of the park with this sculpt. He just looks so cool. I think, but and so I don't mind painting up Carnage and using Carnage too. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't really a character that I grew up knowing about. Like it came after my time a bit. But this Mysterio, yeah, and I'm debating. I'm thinking I'm going to do a blend like I sometimes will do. I'm just going to do a blend between like the Spider-Man cartoon sort of inspired modern take on it. I'm going to kind of incorporate some of the old look, but maybe still, because the sculpt is modern, incorporate, a bit of both into it. So
I think it was it Friday night or I think it was Friday night we watched Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we got Todd in the house. He looks like he came in before Bill when we said hi. Hey Todd, thanks for joining. Actually, the one that we missed here is Cat Hill says, trying to get that backlog done. Still a lot of Legion and Battletech to do. Got Bill saying hello. And nice job on Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Have you done their father Magneto? I have not. As a matter of fact, I do have a Magneto from the old Marvel Universe Miniatures game from Night Models that I have not done. Like I never got to it, never did it. And then I believe I do at least. But I didn't buy X-Men really so far. So I have the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are kind of like an Avengers box in some ways. I plan on using Quicksilver as a bad guy, you can use bad guys and good guys together in this game. Like you don't have to actually be just on the bad team or the good team. There are different teams that like the Avengers, where you get bonuses if you use like certain characters together. But I definitely plan on using Quicksilver with some bad guys, because that's how I knew him mostly growing up, was sometimes when he was bad. Yeah, so I got them mostly to add two, like Scarlet Witch to the Avengers, to add Quicksilver to some bad teams. Even the Criminal Syndicate, like with Kingpin. And so, yeah, that's kind of why I picked those up. But I haven't really picked up any X-Men. I was thinking about picking up Mystique, because not only do I think she's a cool character, but she, oftentimes I've seen her in the comics, even though she was part of like the bad teams within the X-Men, like Magneto's. I'm trying to remember the name of them again. Like they're different. There was more than one team of bad mutants, but not only was she part of that, but I've seen her on her own oftentimes represented in the comics, and I always thought she was kind of cool. So when I have like a bad team, I might include like Mystique in there. That might be one of the... There aren't too many of the X-Men that I was going to buy this time around. I was really sticking with other kinds of areas of Marvel, because I can't buy them all. Like it's just too expensive for me, at least. I've too many things I'm interested in to buy them all. But that's the short answer to that. Kingpin did a lot of stuff against Spider-Man. That's true. He wasn't just Daredevil villain. He was, it's all happening in New York there, right? So there was definitely a lot of crossover. Bill says the Brotherhood of Mutants is what Cat Hill says too. Yes, that's exactly right. And then there's another group too. The Brotherhood of the Mutants, I think, is like the main one that we normally think of, I thought. But there was also the something club. What was the name of them? That were an older group of bad mutants. What was it? X-Men Bad Mutants Club. Hellfire Club? Is that the name of it?
Sounds like what Stranger Things.
Maybe you're right. Hellfire Club, X-Men Wiki. Hellfire Club tried to eliminate the X-Men because the X-Men fought for coexistence between humans and mutants, where the Hellfire Club wanted a mutant-dominated world. I think they were around quite a while ago, like in the actual I don't even recognize most of the names at this point of the characters.
The old ones and the new ones.
Yeah, I don't at this point. Emma Frost is in there. I know that. Yeah. I know Emma Frost, but I don't remember. Mr.
You had a lot
in there too.
There was a lot of mutants that were crossovers between both sides that kind of played both sides off each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so they existed. There was another. There's been a couple, of these kind of incarnations of bad mutants. Okay. Hellfire Club have the diamond. Yeah, they're kind of confirming. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I thought so. I was never a huge X-Men fan. I don't know if that... I mean, I liked them and I was aware of them, and I had read their comic at certain points, but X-Men, they're a huge franchise within Marvel. Yeah. Like many people like them the most, like the diehard fans. I was grew up as a Spider-Man sort of fan. I liked the Avengers growing up and other things, but and I did dabble in X-Men, but I was never like as diehard as others.
Yeah, I was mostly a Spider-Man, Wolverine, Daredevil. Those are my the usual ones I always gravitate.
Kato says I was a fan of X-Men when I was a kid. Yeah, I mean those were popular ones, Rusty. I also always liked the Hulk.
Yeah. Hulk, yeah.
And I didn't even see all of it. I mean, I wasn't around for like World War Hulk and like some of the really cool stories that came after my time with it. But
Yeah, there was the one series where Hulk and Wolverine went at it, and
Mhm.
Hulk just takes Wolverine and goes. It's like in Deadpool where Juggernaut takes Deadpool and goes
yeah,
rips him in half. It's like, oh my god! That's looking down at your legs and like, oh no.
yeah. I have the famous comic that has the cover art of Gray Hulk looking in the you can see his face in the blades of Wolverine, like on the cover of the comic. It was one of the more famous comics, actually, because it's where Grey Hulk and Wolverine faced off, and Wolverine stuck his entire arm through Grey Hulk. Grey Hulk falls to the ground. He's like, it's like steaming because it must have been cold out up from this hole, like in his chest.
Yeah.
And then Wolverine's like, okay, like I did it. And he like if I remember correct, he's like, okay, done, and like turns around and he's like, not just yet. And he basically heals up because Grey Hulk regenerates.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, no, that was pretty good.
Like big ugly guy. Oh, they just came out recently. It was like last week or a week before. Since our last show, they had the She-Hulk trailer come out.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of controversy about it. A lot of people don't like the way it looks.
Yeah, they say it's a little too racy for Disney.
But... Oh, a lot of people didn't like the way the animation was done. That it was pretty
really?
cheap looking. Yeah, they were saying that it looked kind of cheap, but I don't know. Bill says Peter Parker dated Kitty Pryde.
Oh yeah.
And Joe Fixit is my favorite Hulk. Well, you and I mean, I really kind of agree with you, except my only caveat is this, is that I grew up with the Savage Hulk as a kid, with the wild hair green Hulk, like with the big hair. And in a lot of ways, like that'll always be the main Hulk for me because it's like the Hulk that I grew up, like it's the epitome of the main Hulk. But I loved the Joe Fixit and the Gray Hulk sort of storyline. I always loved it, and I'd have to say that it's my second favorite. You know, other than just the original Savage Hulk and the artwork of like the late 70s, early 80s. But beyond that, I love the story of the Gray Hulk, and I'm disappointed that he doesn't get as much face time in franchise merchandise. I'm really hoping that Marvel Crisis Protocol would do the Gray Hulk and Joe Fixit in particular. Like that would be I would love that. But I just have a feeling we're going to see like Red Hulk first. We're going to see like World War Hulk. We're going to see Professor Hulk. You know, we're going to see like all these ones that they've done in the movies and hinted at. I just really doubt we're going to see a cool Gray Hulk for a while. I wish we would though. Yeah. And it's funny because you know, he's technically not as strong like as the regular Hulk, you know, and he's not of that same power scale, but granted, he's got his other stuff, like we talked about the regeneration and things. But I just think that the storyline and the attitude and like just the way they did it was just my favorite, or second favorite.
I find it interesting is that when you look at, it's like I keep reading these articles by individuals that were really not superhero style fans. You know, they watched the movies and said, "Well, there's enough of these superhero movies. We don't need any more. We're burned out on them. It's like we don't need them." It's like those of us that are superhero types are like, I don't think we got enough. Like, I want to see more. It's like,
yeah.
And it just got recently. They were talking about where Daredevil's going to now get his own series. And it sounds like Jessica Jones going to be coming back. Punisher. You know, all the Netflix characters are coming back. The only one they're not sure of is the guy that played Finn. Is that Finn Jones? I think it is, or whatever. That played Iron Fist.
Oh, okay.
There's no confirmation of him coming back at all. No. So far. We'll see.
Bill says he wants to see Black Cat show up in a Spider-Man movie.
Yes. Or Wildcat's another one I'd like to see. I think they were working on Wild Cat coming in for Jessica Jones, but we'll see if that they actually in the newest series when they bring her back, if they actually bring her sister into it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens.
I actually just want to see them continue to work on like the Sinister Six, and I mean, granted, across all of the Spider-Man franchises, particularly if you watch the last one, like I have an appreciation for just how many villains they've brought in. I mean, over every time they restart with a new Spider-Man, in some ways there's like this worry like you have to maybe restart the whole thing again. They've not done that, that's good. And I thought they made an amazing choice by doing Vulture and Mysterio in the recent ones.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. We're have you seen the new
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I did. I saw it in the theater.
What do you think?
I liked it. I would say that I liked it. I really would like to watch it again, to be honest. I liked it. I thought they did an excellent job with kind of just, it's a great movie for his character,
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways, because just the whole, we know it's called in the multiverse, so there's multiverse, in it. I like what they tried to do with it all. I don't know how is this. I don't know that I like the heavy focus on all the Marvel movies with the multiverse lately. Like, I'm not sure that as a theme, I want all the Marvel movies, like for the next bit, to focus on this thing called the multiverse.
Yeah.
But it being in the Doctor Strange movie, I liked it because I actually think it really fits his character to have a storyline that incorporates that. I'm just not sure that I'm really huge, on that for all of them.
Well, I think what so is it Kevin Feige that's the one that's behind the story line with everything going forward for since the beginning of the with was it Iron Man, the very first one, and how that it is progressively moving along. And I think they get into this habit of everything has to interlock with each other.
Yeah.
Like they even brought Venom in to it and had him interact with the multiverse.
Right.
Whereas Symbiont is part of recognizes the different parts of the multiverse because they communicate with each other across it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like you can create a movie without having to interact with this whole multiverse thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just getting a little much for me. I do understand that there's only so many kinds of stories you can do where you're, they're always trying to think of new things, but I don't know. I was kind of hoping that they were going to go for like Secret Wars or something.
Well, that is coming. There is supposed to be the Secret Wars coming up. We'll just have to see. I think next year Secret Wars is supposed to come out.
Okay. But when you say it's come out, like one movie, or like you meaning like a whole line of them?
I'm not sure exactly. I know there's at least one that involves the Secret Wars.
One thing I will say is I saw the trailer for, and I've started to stop watching trailers when they're on YouTube and stuff, because I'm just getting tired of just the spoilers and just seeing too much. And but I saw the trailer for Thor, God of Love and Thunder, or whatever, in the theater, and I really liked that. I really liked it.
I thought it was great when it's like he sees his hammer and he's reaching for it, and then all of a sudden just like comes out of his flies back away from him. He's like, "What?"
I like I like how Marvel movies have incorporated a lot of humor in many of them, and if not most. And I like the direction they've taken with Thor Ragnarok, and they seem to be in spirit continuing it with this one.
Yeah.
And I really liked Thor Ragnarok quite a bit. I love movies that are like a big adventure for hero movies, and like Guardians of the Galaxy is one in particular. Aquaman, actually, I found to be very much like a big adventure, like, you know, across all different places and stuff. And even though it was Aquaman and it wasn't like all the characters and stuff like in Guardian of the Galaxy, I like movies like that. And I found the Thor Ragnarok was very much like a big adventure too. It was really cool.
I was gonna say it's not Pee Wee's Great Adventure, but
I like that movie too. I was gonna shock you with my Pee Wee Herman imitation for a moment, and I decided against it.
okay. Yeah. Well, there's a few things I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, especially when you see your favorite character that you like. And I think Bill mentioned, it's like they need to redo. They kind of alluded to it in the last Spider-Man movie, where you got, who is this spider dude? Is he a man that's a spider? And it's like when Venom was talking, and I would look forward to actually seeing a redo of the actual, because that's where the multiverse. That's where if you have another Venom Spider showdown.
Cat Heel says Venom. This is an early comment. This is from a bit ago, not referring to your latest discussion, but he goes, Venom could use a redo with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of controversy around Venom and the way they did Venom. And actually, one of my good friends that's really into comics that read it was really, in a lot of ways, disappointed with the way they took Venom. They took him a lot more into the comedic,
yeah,
kind of proportion. Now, what my only real in the comics connection to Venom was really when Spider-Man was first wearing the black suit. That, if I remember correct, it was like a black suit that came from space or something like that. And as he was wearing it, it became, more and more clear that the suit was of its own intelligence, and and it was different, than that origin, than the story that we have in the first Venom movie. Having said that, like, my daughter and I loved the first Venom movie. We didn't mind the second one, but we didn't find it as good as the first. But I think that was coming at it with more of a clean slate, because other than what I just described to you, I didn't really read much more into it at that phase. It was a little bit after my time. So I didn't. Sometimes when you read the comic and you have a strong feeling because you really like it and stuff, and then they come out with something and it's very much different than what you read, it can be a real turnoff. But if you hadn't read it, you don't get that same, strong negative reaction.
Now you got a preconceived notion of what it's supposed to be.
Still resent Spider-Man 3 the way they killed him off.
Oh, the Topher Grace Venom.
So that was the other one, right? Sam Raimi did a fantastic job in the Doctor Strange movie. Yeah, I think so too. Love the Bruce Campbell scenes, a nod to Army of Darkness. Yeah. Did you stay till the end to see the? Did you see that, Rusty? The extra at the end. Yeah,
Oh, it's over.
it's over. That was like, I'm not sure why you're waiting here that much anymore, audience. um, I want to see the Beta Ray Bill show up in a Thor movie. There's a rumor that if you actually go frame by frame through a scene in Thor Ragnarok, where he's going from when he's in the chair through a room of people to when he's in the gladiator kind of area, that there is a glimpse of Beta Ray Bill in there. And I've not diligently went to look for that, but I tried to look for it and I couldn't find it. But there's a rumor that that's the case. But that would be very cool. The alien costume, and yes, was bringing out Peter's darkness. Yeah, that's kind of what I remember from it, because that was in the 80s, I think, that storyline. Spider-Man had to go to Fantastic Four to get the sonic weapon to fight Venom. Hey, Curtis! Thanks for joining us. We are talking comics while we're painting. We're not on a comic theme night per se. We just I'm painting Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch from the Marvel Universe, so we've just been chatting about it because we're all kind of fans in the room right now, it seems like. We've been talking about the new Doctor Strange movie that came out. Are you painting tonight with us, Curtis, or are you just chilling out, cruising through?
Most excellent. I was seeing a little story where it was saying that John Wick is actually where Bill and Ted. John Wick is actually where Bill goes to military school instead.
That's kind of funny.
Most excellent. Wild Stallion.
I gotta grab a paint pot here. I was saying earlier, Curtis, that I have not been really painting much at all lately. So this is actually a nice thing to just be able to sit down and chat and paint a bit. But I've been in a slump with coming home from work tired and just not
being motivated.
Yeah.
I understand it. It's like for me, I've been doing so much yard work and other things. When you got other things you have to be done, or it's like last Thursday was out and about because I had to go take care of my mother-in-law, take her to her doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the transporter.
Looks like we got Dan Boomin in the house. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
Thanks for joining in.
He survived. Did you survive planting? We had some pretty gnarly storms here in the last week, too. Lots of tornadoes.
Yeah, you were saying that then. Yep, everything is planted.
That's good. Now it's just probably now you're worried. It's baling hay season now about soon, isn't it? It's June. First crop of hay should be coming in.
I just mixed some red and purple and pink together, and then some glaze medium to make the highlight for that Scarlet Witch stuff, that magic stuff. I think that'll.
Are you doing it across it so it's kind of a wet blend together, or what?
I'm just gonna do it sort of as a glaze in certain spots, like in the highlight spots is what I was gonna start with. See how that works. Just I think actually that might work okay. First cutting of hay next week, says Dan.
Yeah, I figured as much. Number of times I've had to mow my lawn. It adds up quickly. Never a dull moment.
Mm.
I don't know how many people in the chat room have ever baled hay before, but that's
I have not.
it's sort of the rite of passage as a young man in farming country.
Mm-hmm. Either you do it right or you end up in the bale and you go out in the roll.
Yeah. Yeah, my brothers, when you got 4 other brothers that were about the same age as me, were 5 years between the oldest and the youngest of the first litter. And we would be a baling crew.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the season would hit, we were hired out by every farmer in the neighborhood.
You know what I like is when we're driving up from Calgary to Edmonton through farmland in Alberta, I like to just see all the different crops, and like my wife will talk about which one is which, like, you know, this is canola, that's alfalfa, or like, you know, like she'll talk about, because they all look really pretty, like when you're driving through, and they all look so different at times.
Yep.
Like what one is individually almost means nothing in the way it looks at to the uneducated eye at a distance. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's all like fields of it.
It kind of blends together unless you know what you're looking at.
Yeah,
And
it
then,
blends together into something that's really nice looking though, and it just doesn't really, you know, have anything to do with the final product necessarily. Like, you know, a canola field, looking at it doesn't really look like a bottle of canola oil, you know.
yeah, definitely.
Like, so it's
Boy, that field looks a little oily out there. Yeah, different brush. Yeah, during the summertime, it's like when you got a crop of hay going through, you can just smell that fresh mowed hay smell out there. And then when it come July, when it's really warm, you get all the humidity in the air and you smell the corn, that sweet smell.
Mm-hmm.
I say stuff like that, and there's individuals like, huh? Yeah. Things that come to mind. Yeah, it's not much different from, let's say, walking out in the woods on a hot July day when it's, depending on what type of trees you get all the different scents.
Oh yeah.
You got a lot of conifer trees, and you smell the resin that coming out of it.
Well, right now everything's blooming in my backyard, and you can really smell it.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
And if you get a large crop of dandelions going, you could smell those.
yeah.
We just finished up with the lilacs and stuff in the area that they're all finished blooming. I do my daily walk, and you just smell all the lilac smell. Just finished the locust trees in my backyard, what's left of them after the big derecho snapped them to pieces, but they just got done blooming, so you could smell all that smell coming across. So it's pretty good.
I actually chatted a bit with Victor today, our friend Victor.
Oh, how's it going?
Good. I mean,
Considering.
Yeah, considering everything. I'm not on Instagram, so I appreciate you letting me know, because I kind of just texted him to see how he was doing, and he's still recovering. But yeah, it's hard having trouble breathing. Considering the situation, which is probably normal, but still really difficult, and really lucky, because that kind of stuff is scary.
Yeah, you can easily check out really quick with something like that.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Victor, he was in the hospital.
Vic's miniatures.
With pulmonary, was it edema?
Embolism.
Embolism? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost an uncle to that.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. If you don't catch it and they don't treat it right away, that can be it.
A friend of mine he was living in Montana, up there by Glacier National Park. Now he just recently moved down to Kansas. He had the same problem.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's on blood thinners because of it. He was drive a dump truck, rock hauler, and he was constantly running rock up into to Glacier National Park because they're building roads and stuff. And suddenly he was having problems breathing and pulled over and passed out. And same problem. He had blood clots and everything in his. And he's lucky. Actually, he was lucky that it happened, because when he was in the hospital, they were doing tests on him, and just checking it, and they found out he had kidney cancer.
Oh, wow!
So he had to have a kidney removed. So it's like, you're lucky that you actually come in for this, because we caught it in time that it didn't go anywhere, but it stayed inside your kidney.
Right.
It's like, not very often when you say having something serious happen to you is actually a godsend.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, well, that happened. He was always on the phone with me. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, well, we had to ask him a million questions. I just know enough to be dangerous to the fact that, there was a time I taught um, biology
Mm-hmm.
at our local community college across the state, Kirkwood Community College, back in the 90s.
Do you have a degree in biology?
Uh, Science, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a lot of science degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my daughter's interested in biology. She's also interested in art. And that's one of the hard things is that they don't really, the college she's going to, they don't really allow you to jump into both at the same time. Even partially, they don't allow you to take the art classes like without fully committing to the program. And so she's starting out focusing on the sciences, and she's really interested in genetics, but it's sort of like part of biology. So um, that's an area that she's kind of interested in going towards. But she really likes computer animation too.
Well, that was one thing. Is like when I first went into college, I was a chemical engineer, and I took a lot of different classes. Obviously, and was thinking about it, an emphasis in biological chemistry, organic chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like you had to take biology classes for that. So it's like one of those things where you take enough classes, you end up with a degree in something.
Yeah, yeah.
But after my finished my second year in college, I was like, realized, you know what? I like rocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I ended up going and becoming a geologist.
And the rest was history.
That too.
That was your minor.
Yeah.
And the rest was history. We got Bill says, "Hey Curtis, I got my hands on LaSalle. What are your thoughts on those happy rules?" Curtis is thinking about getting into Star Wars Legion.
Well,
you were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, Imperial Assault. That's the game. Friends tempted me into it. Yeah, Star Wars Imperial Assault.
And I got Star Wars Legion here.
Elias is a good tactical, good fun. Baled hay many times.
Who said that?
That was Curtis.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's up there in farming country.
Cat Heel says, "Not fun. Yeah, not fun. Even with gloves, tears up your hands."
Yeah, and you still don't wear shorts either.
Still have many bailing hooks. This is Curtis. Never bailed, but I got to do crabbing when I was a child. Lived in Maryland. Bill says, "I like the smell of spent brass."
Smells like victory.
My cousins grew up in Maryland. Allie, all they did was crabbing. Yep. All right, we're caught up.
I'd say they have do you call it? Candle scents with like gunpowder, spent brass candles. It was like manly candles. I could get behind that.
Hmm.
What's your favorite scented candle? Spent brass. Smells like victory.
Smells like your enemies driven before you. And hearing the lamentation of the women.
Yeah. Yeah, my daughter came over on Saturday and no, Sunday. She came over Sunday. We got a new grill and she helped us put it together. And we were talking about Jason Momoa. Both my wife were talking. It's like, oh, he's so. It's like he's our favorite. And it's like, yeah, we know why.
Actually, he's like my wife really likes him too. But she's like, Jason Momoa. It's funny though. Didn't I tell you when I was out at the cabin and I was taking pictures of the bonfire I was doing to burn all the firewood? Right before that, I actually put together a grill too.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Saturday. Yeah, it's funny. I actually put together our grill. A couple hours. It took me a couple hours to put it together from scratch. Like we didn't get the display model, whatever, already done. But
Yeah, we got ours. We went over to Menards and picked it up and got her 11% with it rebate.
oh, nice.
And so she helped us put it together and sat around and talked about stuff. And it was
Jason
like,
Momoa.
yeah, 35-mile-an-hour winds going on, everything blown around. Made life interesting. Hey, here we go. Another mech. All I gotta do is flock the base and she'd be done.
All right.
Make my brother happy. He's my brother. Those belong to my brother. He's paying me to paint him. He's in Moab right now with his doing rock climbing with his Bronco.
Oh, like his new truck? A truck?
Mm-hmm.
Bronco? I saw one of those yesterday. At a distance, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But then I saw it close up. It really looks nice. The new Bronco. It looks really nice. I was looking at it and I was like, that looks really nice.
I would consider getting one, but they're pretty expensive. And he got his is all decked out with every bell and whistle you can think of. And he posted up on Facebook. They got the tent option with it, so you can set a tent out the back. And
oh yeah.
So they got it all set up, so they're out there in the boonies. As you can consider Utah the boonies, but
I really like it. Don't get me wrong. I'm too in love with my hybrid and my gas mileage and my zipping around with my sport function, so I can still actually accelerate pretty fast, when I want to. And I'm really happy with my plug-in hybrid, and I love just driving around only on electric when I choose to. And that's kind of my new addiction. I'm always looking at like how much fuel I'm saving and just looking at which engine's on, the electric or the gas or both, and just I'm totally addicted to actually looking at that, like when I'm driving and stuff. And I'm too in love with it.
Driver.
Yeah, exactly. He's paying too much attention to his fuel efficiency and he smashed into me. I'm actually looking. I was actually researching getting a few solar panels and a battery just for my car to just actually have it basically just supplying all of my car power completely. But yeah, I don't know.
On the house or
that's the thing. I mean, my wife doesn't want it just in the backyard, like a few panels tilted, just sitting there. I would almost
definitely got to put them on the roof.
Well, I almost wanted to do that because the thing about the roof, I have a really high roof, except for the very front of the house, like over the door and over the front area. There's like a secondary like pitch, but my roof is really high, and I need to be able to wipe the snow off if I can.
You got a high peaked roof or is it fairly slanted?
It's fairly slanted, actually, like not flat, but it's like this, like like on top, not like this. It's like this. But the problem is, the 2 stories are really high off the ground. Like you need a double, you need a huge extension ladder to get to the top and to just take off your snow. And I'll be honest, I don't really want to be up on that roof, like this particular roof, like wiping snow off of solar panels, just so I can get that. I don't want to kill myself so I can have a cleaner earth.
What was the cause of death? Well, he had the long extended broom handle thing, and he was wiping the snow off, and it was actually an ice sheet, and it came off the roof and killed him.
He was well intentioned, but he ended up killing himself in the process. They do have those long extension ones they make to wipe things off, but I wouldn't be able to get to it on my roof, even with a 15-foot pole or something like that. So,
yeah, we looked at what it would cost to put one of those up, and then we had to buy a new car. So
well, if I needed to do all the power on my house, it'd be a totally different story. Like it would have to cover the entire roof, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about like 4 panels. For my hybrid electric, would be plenty, or it'd be sufficient, I should say.
Have you thought about getting a portable solar generator?
No, I haven't. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, you can buy them. It's like they're about the size of a portable welder.
Are they like a mini sun inside of it?
No,
you're capturing your own little sun.
It's attached to your Mr. Fusion. No, it's roughly about yay big by kind of like a small suitcase like thing, and it has a solar panel that comes with it. You can fold it out, and you can charge stuff with it. So
I do think I've seen those. Yeah, I'm not sure if that would be enough for what I would need.
So like if you could have one of those, and when you go up to the cabin, or if you go someplace where you got no access to electricity, you can plug that thing in. And
yeah, that's pretty cool. Even give you a little bit back.
Yeah.
Cat Hill says, collecting Word of Blake and working on them, posted my diva earlier in the Facebook group. Cool. I used to drive a Bronco, says Bill, in the Army. It was called a Cut V.
Oh, yeah.
And Bill says, people put solar panels over their porches out here in Arizona. I don't doubt it. It sounds like a good idea. I don't really have a covered porch. So, yeah.
You just got a covered wagon.
You have any round solar panels? For my covered wagon?
On the wheels, Yeah, they're making all kinds of stuff like that nowadays it's basically can turn and charge up, run stuff with a portable generator like that.
I'm going to grab another color here real quick. I have access right here to all my coat to arms paints, which I often will use. But I particularly if I'm on the show and I just need to grab something, but I don't like their yellow for some reason. I don't like the way it coats, and I don't like the coat to arms coating of the yellow. Need to get Vallejo or Citadel.
Is it too thin?
All right. Vallejo deep yellow it is.
Yeah, my problem with yellow is that it dries out long before I ever use it up. It's like I'll buy it for like a project or something and then use it for a while and then it's like, oh, I need yellow. And then I'll go open it up and it's like, oh, it's dried out.
Like which one? Like a Citadel one or?
Yeah. It's like Euro yellow typically, or Sunset, Avalon Sunset, I think it is.
See, I use those two also, and I don't have that problem with those two. That's weird.
It was like, don't use them very much.
Yeah, that could be it, because I do use them quite a bit.
I might buy one a year. In wintertime, when you got, I don't have a humidifier in the house, so in the wintertime dries out.
Mm-hmm. I think you need a humidor just for your yellow paints.
Yeah. Actually, that's an idea, using a humidor to keep your paints from drying out.
Be like, help yourself. I have many yellows to choose from. It's when you're offering a cigar. Yeah. Help yourself. I have all kinds of yellow.
So you got some exquisite yellow. Is there a particular flavor of yellow you want?
Bill says, all GW paints dry out fast here. I stopped getting them.
Yeah. They don't seal very well. That's the problem. And if you get, after a couple of uses, you get the paint along the seal where it's supposed to seal up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't keep that clean, the paint will dry out really quick in the wintertime.
Most of my paints are kept in the basement, which naturally is more humid than other areas of the house. However, so are yours. But I mean, like, what I mean is, you actually also pretty much paint your basement, right?
Yeah. I am in the basement. Wintertime, when you're getting around 30% humidity, things dry out quickly. It's like living in the desert, like Bill says. All right. Next. The wonderful diva. Word of Blake. I'm surprised that we haven't gotten another game of Battletech in forever.
Who's that?
For me, normally we get a game in about at least 2 games in a month of Battletech, but like my local group, everybody's basically decided to, take the summer off. The other group, because I got 2 groups here, their work schedules changed, so nobody has the same day off, which makes it hard. Kind of annoying.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been playing the Marvel game because I haven't been playing gaming as much recently. I am looking forward to playing a bit more of that. And then, of course, getting into the Apocalypse gaming once we get our minis done for that. And also the Test of Honor. I'm actually really looking forward to playing some Test of Honor too.
Which one's that?
The Samurai.
Oh, okay.
I said I'm looking forward to playing Test of Honor 2, but Test of Honor 2 is also the name of the game. It's the second edition.
Yeah, I'm at the point now where I'm like looking at my board games. I need to do some more solo board gaming again.
Mm-hmm.
I usually get about 1 or 2 games in a year, but it seems like May is typically that April-May time frame when it happens, and it's June.
Yep. My first phase of the explosion on the base. It's not where it needs to be at. I don't have the black in it, and I haven't painted the rocks, but it's not. Actually, that's not really a good look. Actually, let me show it on the other camera. Here we go. Oh, it just quit.
Your other camera? I heard a click.
Yeah, I just I'm switching cameras back again here. Just had a bit of a. Oh, that's weird. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's weird. I've just had a.
Your little icon is just a little symbol, and it flashes. I just inhaled a bunch of alcohol. This weekend, Mark from Smitty M14, I was participating in a 2-day bolt action tournament in Omaha. We've been attending for about 5 years. Looking forward to that. Oh, so Saturday, Sunday, is that?
Well, I may have to just reconnect my camera real quick here.
All right. I know the name of that tournament is on the tip of my tongue, Dan, but I can't remember it. I definitely need to get those Koreans done. Yeah. Bug Eater, that's it. Oh, I'm by myself. I'm a one-man band. Yeah, I was just saying I need to get my North Koreans finished, the ones I have, and maybe even consider adding a few more Americans. Yeah, I could do Korean War sometime. And we're coming up on our July. We have to start thinking about June, July for our next game that we're going to get together for. I wonder if he had to reboot his computer. Yeah, that would be fun. I have a grandchild on the way later this month, so probably July for a game. Always a great opportunity to escape from the family. That's one thing I don't have any is grandkids, which is kind of interesting. It's like Grandpa Dan. Was chatting with somebody the other day. I am painting Battletech. Right now, I'm working on my Marauder 2C. Yeah. I was saying, I was just chatting with somebody over the weekend who was born in 1981 and is a grandfather already. I'm like, holy crap. And and I was like saying, "Yo, yeah, I remember 1981." He's like, How do you remember 1981?" It's like, I was in high school. Like crazy. All right, I'm gonna check my phone here. See if he sent a message. Hmm. Well, send him a message. See if he comes back. Leave that right there. Yeah, I'm working on some clan mechs for Clan Ghost Bear for an upcoming campaign series against the Ghost Bears. We're going to be, I guess, fighting the clans and finally got rid of Palmer. That's a relief. Who knew? It would take is some technical difficulties to get rid of it. It's just, who thought it would be that easy? And here I'm always the one that's on the starship. It's gonna have to start saying, it's like, Hal, open the pod bay doors, Hal. I'm gonna say, did Bill ever finish all of his samurai for his? I think it was Test of Honor. You were working on that stuff for. I knew you and Palmer were talking about all the different units, clans or something like that you were painting your units for in paint schemes. Now I seen you had that posted that picture, Bill, of you and dressed up in your fancy pants. How long ago was that picture taken? Yeah, that's true. You never seems to be ending because the moment you always catch up with your purchases and painting of mechs, you're buying more. Oh, 10 years ago. So were you part of a medieval reenactment, um, or I guess that'd be Renaissance era style reenacting? That one time I was doing. Yes, it is a vicious cycle of constantly keeping up with our purchases. As I've always said, it's easy to whip out the credit card and implode your self with more miniatures than it does to take the time to paint the darn things. It only takes 10 seconds to cause SCA. All right. Society of Creative Anachronism. Speaking of stuff, where is that? Oh, it's behind the guitar. I'm going to pull out my earbuds. Koi. 80 pounds of chainmail. My halberd. That is heavy. He's back. You got the camera working again?
Can you hear me? Thumbs up or down? Okay, I can't hear you for some reason. That's the weird thing. One maybe explanation.
All that chainmail that I showed up, all hand woven myself. Did it all. Watch it. It was like many a night in front of the TV watching something and knitting. And I was always say, Real men knit with steel. And there's about three quarters of a mile of 14 gauge wire in this suit. So, needless to say, it took me a while to weave it. So, I used to do Dark Age reenactment with called the Skullborg. And we would go around and do Viking Dark Age reenacting. And it was even a couple times we would go over to Elkhorn where Dan lives, and they'd have their Scandinavian days over there, and we would do stuff. And we had all the different what do we call it? Renaissance fairs. So you always had one of the first weekends, because right on the other side of the hill of me, basically in walking distance, is a Renaissance fair. And years ago, they used to do it here at the state fairgrounds, which is just across the street. And would go to that one all the time too. And then they moved it over here to Sleepy Hollow. They have a May session, one weekend in May, and then they got 3 weekends in September. And I guess there's another one that's Renaissance Fair that is in the fall, someplace north of town here. You probably did. If you watched any of those, I was there. So I was one of the guys. I carried an axe, two-handed Dane axe, and I had my shield and everything. So with my sword, probably did see me there. And unlike the SCA, we didn't use padded weapons. We used steel on steel. So it was like swords, axes, going tink, tink, tink. Actually fighting. We did a lot of choreographing to make sure it was all done safely. And hence the real use of real armor. In case something did happen, you could be protected. We had one of the guys who would always share with it. He made swords out of leaf springs out of vehicles, and we'd cut them down into long strips and heat them and made basics fighting swords. So they were dull as heck, but if you got cracked across the knuckles, you would know it. But he would, if you remember, Dan, that it's like everybody had the van braces on, but they were like steel bars on them. So if you got hit, and it would hit the bar on your forearm, so you wouldn't get hurt. And then you had we used gloves, leather gloves on that had chainmail underneath it to help protect them. And that was all the kit that was produced by the one guy that was our leader of our group. And then so when we would go, he was like, if you're going to fight, show a demonstration fight, you had to put the protective gear on. And that was all of his. It was cool, though. We had a lot of fun doing that. But, yeah. A little dusty. That's heavy. Needless to say. But you put it on, and when you put the belt on around your waist, you'd cinch it up really tight, so the weight, most of it was on your hips and on your shoulders, and you could move around pretty good, no problem. And I would, back in the day, would have my rucksack, and I would fill it up with like 80 pounds of weight to 100 pounds, and I would do my daily walks with a rucksack on. And after a while, your body got used to carrying around that much weight on you. And it was the same thing when back in those days when you would go on campaign, you'd be walking or doing stuff for days on end, you'd always be wearing it so your body would get used to it. And you always, another friend of mine, he does that kind of stuff, and he has full plate armor and all the swords and stuff from that. And you would think that plate armor would be heavy too, but it's not. Actually, it's pretty thin. Okay. Well, not seeing anything across the board here. So what's everybody else been up to? What's the name of your household? I missed that, Bill. What was the name of it? Hmm. Herb Holler. I haven't heard of that. Pen millimeter. Okay, so you are painting 10 millimeter Napoleonics, 40K, getting ready for my summer battles, playing Pathfinder and Alt Lens. Okay. Imperial Assault. Now, who makes Imperial Assault? Is the 10 mil a commission, or is that just for your own personal use? Fantasy Flight Games. How much progress have you made on those Soviets, Dan? Commission work? Yeah, I always wondered. It's like I never seen the appeal of 10 mil stuff, but yeah, I've been falling behind on getting my commission stuff done myself. But when my biggest problem is not having, when you're told there's no deadline, I sort of don't feel the urge, the urgency to get them immediately finished so I can move on to the next project. That's my biggest problem right now. Gen 10 mil, they look really good and are actually quite satisfying to finish. Still, 28 is the scale of my choice. Yeah, it's like you can put so much detail into 28s. If you get some really good miniatures, it's like I did those like when Dan and I were playing American War of Independence, I had those Warlord Games 28 mil plastics that didn't have a lot of details on them. But when I got those Perry miniatures, those had a ton of detail on them, and those looked really nice. Two 12-man squads are done. One 12-man squad, about half done. Well, probably you're looking at having at least 4 squads complete. Yeah, that was we need Dan and I. We both need to start working on our American War of Independence guys again. We got some pretty nice looking armies that need to get back on the table again. Manly scale. Now, it's once like when I look at, let's say, 15s, to me, 15s are really good for large, epic size battles. 6 mil is like Grand Army scale. And then you get into 28s, that's your true skirmish scale. Yeah, it's like you got a nice scaled up. It's like you had a little bit left of your colonials, right? If I remember correctly, before you need to start on your British. I got pretty much my British done except for I think I got one more box of Hessians left to do. So I want to get those done. And then I'll be done with my British Army. I'm thinking of maybe a different what do you call it, unit, because I got that Von Dunlop or something was what I had before finished for my Hessians, and I'm thinking a different unit now. Clarification. Would you recommend any rules for French Infinity War? I've been reading these rules. It's like muskets and tomahawks has been pretty popular. And I think we were using Land of the Free for our American War of Independence, but you could use them also. Land of the Free would work for, I think, the French and Indian War and the War of 1812. I'm curious at what Palmer thinks of the muskets and tomahawks too, since that's been out for a long time now. As I think he really likes it. He's a big fan of the previous version. I hate the D10 dice and second edition, not a fan at all. And all my Continentals are done except for that one Victor sent me. I am basically ready to start the British part of Liberty and Death box set. Yeah, I thought. So you're basically the same. I just have one unit left to do with my British, and you, on the other hand, it's like we're role flip there. Where now I got to start working on my Continentals. And I think you got about as many British as I had. I 3D printed a urban mech and a locust in 50 mil scale. They're about 8 inches tall. Yeah, I heard that those things are huge. Rebels and Patriots is a nice for French and Indian War. Yeah, there is some different rule sets out there that are worth looking at. If you got the miniatures, it's worth taking a look at stuff. That's for sure. Well, are we going to get to see Palmer come back? Falling down a rabbit. Oh, sweet. I'll take a look at falling down a rabbit hole with a French and recently. My first historic war game. Yeah. That's a nice thing is I can get into some of these smaller skirmish games where you don't really. Yeah, we really must have hurt his feelings. He's hiding from us tonight.
Oh my gosh, Rusty.
Ah, you're back.
That's got to be the worst problem I've had since I've been doing this. And I still don't really know what happened, but all I tried to do is change my mic, like my camera, like I do all the time, my camera view, and it's been my whole computer through the, through the ringer.
Well, tonight when I was setting up the laptop here, and I kicked on Facebook, have that open so when you send me the link, I was like, I hooked up the everything, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna play a video here and watch something. I had a Rush video popped up.
Yeah,
and I'm playing it. It's like, hey, why am I not getting any sound? Why isn't there any sound with this? And I kept looking, trying to figure out why there's no sound. And I was like, man, this is weird. And I look into the sound settings, and it's like, oh, okay, it's showing there's two different earbud things hooked up. And I'm like, well, I don't have any earbuds hooked in yet. Mm-hmm. And so I flipped it around, plugged my earbuds in. It's like no sounds. Like went and it's like, okay, finally it started working for me. And I was like, okay, got it set up. And I went upstairs to go talk to my wife, and she's like, it was driving me crazy. I kept getting this sound coming through my earbuds. What it was that she had her earbuds hooked still set up in the system, so she was getting all the sound coming from the laptop.
Oh gosh.
And she was upstairs, so she was getting my Rush music.
Once I actually got the video working, my sound stopped working, and I had to go back to the computer. I had to restart everything. I don't know. It was just one thing after the next. It almost became cyclical. Like once one problem was solved, another one would start. Once I fixed it, the old one would start. So it was just driving me nuts. So yeah, sorry about that. I think I was gone for like a half hour. It seems like.
Yeah, could at least 20
minutes at least.
Yeah, you missed the whole discussion about chainmail and gaming and. Let's see. Okay, Rebels and Patriots is a simple rule set based on line rampant. Okay, that one. Okay. I was trying to place which one that was.
Well, I'm not changing my my mic this time, but I don't think you'll be able to see it because of that. But I've got my fire started underneath him. It's a little bit cooler looking than it was before.
Yeah.
But I still have to put the black lining in and paint the rocks and stuff. But I think that that's going pretty good. And then I have some. It's really going to be hard to see this, but on top of the dark purple magic, I have some highlights. It's kind of hard to see, but I think actually I'm just going to drink my beer that I just opened for the remainder of what's left of the show, rather than start too much more painting, because that just was frustrating. It was like a half hour of messing around. I did see when I popped in Dan say, "Oh, we got rid of that Palmer guy. That's good." And then I was saying,
oh, we're still on single screen.
I actually, oh, sorry. I actually saw when I came in saying that. Yeah, it was the Rusty show.
This not like you haven't done that.
Yeah, we've been in that position. Looks like Jeffarication says, "Sweet, I'll take a look." Falling down the rabbit hole of French New War recently. My first historical war game. You know, French New War wasn't my first historical war game. I actually got into Bolt Action and World War II first, but it's one of my favorites for sure, if not my favorite. I would say it probably is my favorite. Yeah. I haven't done that much French New War game in a long time, but definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite. I'm looking forward to playing some in the Japanese period too, for the first time. But yeah, nice. That looks good, Rusty. Actually, I'll blow you up on screen there. That looks really good. I like that model. Those new models look good.
Yeah, that's the Warhammer 2C.
They all say 2C, huh?
Yeah.
Each one has a 2C.
Clan. It's basically the Inner Sphere refit of or rebuild of or clan rebuild of it. I got 2 mech done tonight.
Nice. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, it's good to be back. I was starting to get really frustrated. I was just like at the point where I was like, yeah, hell with it. Like I'm done.
Well, I was having on my desktop over there. I guess it's where is it? Right there. Right there is my desktop. And the sound system was all wonky because we got a Civilization 6 on Steam.
Okay.
And we installed it, bought it, installed it. It was like you could get Civ 6, Sid Meier Seed 6, and like 5 DLCs with it for like $15. So I was like, hey, that's a deal. My daughter played Civ 6, so it was like my wife, my daughter, and I have been playing Civ 6 together. So we bought it, installed it, and when it did, it just walked. It just turned my sound system all wonky.
Yeah.
So before I watch, and you can see the big screen TV right there, which I've sent pictures of you many times, is on that whole wall over there is the 70-incher. Dan's seen it over there.
Yeah.
And now it's like we started watching anything through, because we would watch on a computer and throw it up onto the big screen using HDMI cord. And you'd be watching something and it's like, the sound is like a crackling sound. Is like, what the frack happened to this thing? And I spent 2 days trying to figure out what the heck it did to it.
Yeah.
And so finally I reinstalled all the drivers and everything on the computer, and now I have to go through a couple extra hoops to make sure it doesn't sound like a crackle fest.
Looks like there was some discussion about Musky and Tomahawks 2.
Yeah.
Curtis, like I'm curious what Palmer thinks of Musky and Tomahawks 2 since it's been out for a long while now. I never played it. I did the review of it, and I wanted to play Sharp's Practice 2 because I never really played that, and I got that. And I have played Sharp's Practice 2 some. It's not as much as I would have liked still, but I played some, and I really like that. I haven't gotten around to putting the Musky Tomahawks 2 on the table. Guys know how I feel about the first one. It was probably one of my favorite games ever, to this day. I just really loved that game. I personally have no reason to believe that the Musky Tomahawks 2 isn't as good, if not better. There are things I like about the first edition of the rules, in the way it definitely feels like somebody, even though it was like one of their first games as a company they put out, and it wasn't nearly as polished as all the stuff that came out later, they poured a lot into it, like a heavy lot of into it, where later on all the production quality became so much better. And in some cases, the rules became more elegant, and like with Saga 2 versus the first one. I like Saga 2 better than first Saga. The card mechanic that they have in the second edition, where you can literally mess around, like you have cards that you play in your hand and you can mess with your opponent's cards, and it's a little bit more of a game in that sense. I actually think it should probably be pretty cool, and so I have no reason to believe that it's not. It still has a lot of the core concepts, from a game perspective, like on the tabletop game. So I have no reason to believe that it's not excellent and fun to play. One of the reasons why I've been focusing on the Sharp Practice 2 is it's just a bit more of capturing maybe the bigger battles in the French Indian War. Like I know most people think of the battles being skirmishes through the woods and things, which, is really a fun part of French Indian War, but there were still some traditional big battles. And I liked the idea of getting all my models out and playing some of the bigger battles. And that's why it's still a skirmish game, Sharp's Practice 2, but it plays a slightly larger skirmish with more units and formation and things. So, but yeah, like Curtis said, I was like a really huge fan of the first one. Oh, okay. So you hate the, and that's a good point. You hate the D10 dice in second edition, not a fan at all. So I have not played it from that perspective. Like I've just still used to the 6 sides from the first edition. So I'd have to try it. I know most of the time people, when they do like D10, it's because of the bigger spread of opportunity within the D10 system. But that's interesting. I would have to try that. And so I'm guessing, Curtis, you have played it then, second edition.
What about the D10 that don't you like? I'm just curious.
Dan says all my Continentals are done except for some that Victor sent me. That's congrats, Dan. That's awesome. I'm basically ready to start the British part of the Liberty or Death box set. That's awesome. And like I know that you've been whittling away at that big box set for a while, and it makes me feel good, like that about the long-term projects. How like it's okay to still have miniatures from a really long time ago that you're progressively working through and towards. There you go. You got yours.
I got the Continentals I got to go through.
Bill says, I 3D printed an urban mech and a locust in 50mm scale. They are about 8 inches tall. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
okay, yeah, because it's normally 6mm. Yeah.
That's right? Where you can do play BattleTech in a gymnasium.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, in a gymnasium.
Curtis says, looks good, Rusty. Dan says, nice work, Rusty. Sharp Practice 2, that's another one, yeah. Well, and Sharp Practice, like Sharp Practice, in the way that I would say Musket and Tomahawks was designed around French-Indian War, in my opinion, even though there was American War of Independence and other opportunities to play other ones with the original rules, I would say that Sharp Practice was originally designed, as in the name goes, for Napoleonic skirmish. But despite that, like, I really enjoy it for French Indian War, and just in the same way, I think you can enjoy Musket and Tomahawks for other periods. Yeah, but it's a good one for sure. D10s are meant for single or pair rolling. Just not a fan of rolling a handful of them, but that's just me. Yeah, I guess I've never done that. I've never had a game where you've rolled like 10-sided dice. And so, yeah, I guess the feel is probably different. Like, even just getting to roll them in your hand, maybe there's a different feel to that.
Well, there's a reason I have 20 D20s, because our system that I designed uses a D20 versus a D6. And we also played games where you would throw a bucket load of like 10 to 20 D10s in different games too.
Yeah. Curtis says the D10s just feel off in bunches. That's interesting. Something I'd have to do to be able to know. I'm trying to think what other game, because I play the Marvel Crisis Protocol uses specialized dice or specialty dice, so there are symbols on them. And I think...
Are they D6 or 8s?
Well, let me get them. I'm just drawing a blank. Gosh, if I take these headphones off, is it going to shut my whole computer off?
We play a lot of Star Wars X-Wing. And that uses basically D8, but that's specialty dice with different symbols on them.
So Crisis Protocol are D8s. So I guess that's not really a definitive answer to whether the D6, between the D6 and the D10. But I roll the D8s and I don't really have a problem with it. But D8s are smaller than D10, so maybe that's it. And yeah, like Bill says, X-Wing uses D8s. So I don't really mind when throwing the D8s in there, but the D10s are a little bit bigger. And then you add a whole bunch of more dice in your hand and just that multiplies.
Well, it depends on the size of the D10. You can have D10s that are smaller than D6s. You get into those 15 mil size, bigger casino style D6s. Those are pretty huge.
You get the size 10 D10s versus the size 8 D10s. That's not as good as when you get the D8s that are size 10 versus the D8s that are size 6.
And if you follow that...
I could do a handful of D8 size D10s, but not a D8 dice, D10 dice. I've only had one beer, really.
One? Seriously? I had to see with two.
Slap him. He's like, biddy, biddy, biddy.
That's all, folks. D8s can we feel so swingy rolling at 8 dice can get.
It is true. The way the game is made. I love Marvel Crisis Protocol. I'm really enjoying the game, but I don't disagree that there are times in the game where you as a war gamer play this game and you set up a really great situation where you actually have 9 dice, like you're rolling 9 dice where you might normally roll 4 to 5, like for a decent thing, or an average thing. And I can't tell you how many times I've rolled 9 dice and I get like a result that I would have hoped for on 3 dice, I just roll horribly, like horribly, which we know in dice games that happens, but it does sometimes feel really swingy. And And then there are other times when it's beautiful. Like I'll roll a few dice and I'll be going up against somebody that's rolling a lot more, and I do really well. And it feels great that way. And then, so, there are times when it works out really well. When it works out really well for me, I'm like, look how thematic this is. Like this was so thematic in the way that Wong, just punched through Loki's face. And he should have never been able to do that, and just destroys Loki, because that was one of my best examples of that. But when it happens bad to me, it's like, this is so swingy, like this is horrible. Like, like this should have never happened. Like I had 9 dice. This should not happen.
More randomness. Oh, it's like when I'm playing games and I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, I got to roll 12 dice and I need 4, so I've got to get at least 6 hits. All right.
Yeah.
And you roll 12 dice and you get nothing. And you're like, okay, the odds are definitely not in my favor. And it's like, I'm always looking at it. It's like, okay, I need 6s. Okay, I've rolled 12 dice. I should have at least 2. Right?
It's like you totally nerded out there, Palmer, on the dice.
Yeah, it's like everybody's like, what are you saying?
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's the whole perception of the dice thing is funny. It's very individualized.
Yeah, it's like playing a game. If you ever played Stargrunner, it uses a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12s as part of the system. And there's times you can roll all of them at once because you might have different quality of troops going on, and different ranges and different quality.
Yeah,
will cause you to have to throw different dice. And then the defender, he will have his quality dice he has to defend with. And it's like, you could just like, I need some of these, I need some of these, I need some of these. You throw them out there, and then you got to sift through them all to try and figure out what the heck's going on. So that's really got convoluted at times too. So
that's one of the reasons why I'm really interested in trying AD&D battle systems before I die, because it is going to be one of those games that I play like in 20 years probably, but it has different dice based on quality, and so you roll different polyhedral dice based on the quality of the troop, and I like that idea. And then also Burrows and Badgers has that too, which I'll probably play that sooner, just in all likelihood. But that has that as well.
Yeah, the shifting of the of the quality of the troop versus range. It was an interesting mechanic of a game system. I liked about it.
The bigger the die, the more you insert randomness.
Yeah. So a D20 will have increments of 5% per pip. And so if you got a 60% chance, obviously you know that 1 through 12 will work, or the other direction, depending on.
Of course, Rusty knows this. Read the dice section of the AD&D First Edition Dungeon Master's Guide. Yeah.
I wore that out.
I've actually wanted, at times I just want some of my old books that I had when I was growing up, just to be able to look through them for nostalgia, even if I don't play them. And I really regret the fact that I didn't buy the red books when they redid them. When they redid those, and they had like the player's handbook, and like, I don't know if they did Unearthed Arcana, is that the one? The wizard on the front, like the guy with the wizard on the front. I don't know if they included that one. I know they did the Dungeon Master's Guide in the player's handbook, but I would really like to have those just to look through them, not even to play them, just to look through them.
It just amazes me at times when I see a pristine first edition D&D books. It's like, look like they've been just printed, but they're from 40 something years ago, and you're looking at them like, did they ever look at these books?
Yeah, that's insane.
And I pick mine up and I look at them, just like they're practically worn off the covers, because we've used them so much.
Yeah. Seems like I've done with a lot of games that I've played. Oh, interesting. That sounds like Strike Legion platoon leader. So many
Yeah,
probabilities
similar.
at once.
They took some of the mechanics from it and made it their own.
Yeah, Dan also likes the dice, different dice and burrows and badgers. I think it's a fun thing. With that, it's even kind of cool because it's different size animals and like they each have different dice, which is kind of cool. They have experienced dice in squad leader, platoon leader too. Dracula's America uses polyhedral dice too. Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of using polyhedral dice. It brings an interesting mechanic to it.
Mm-hmm. As long as they're not all 10s that you got to roll at once. D10s. But if it's a size 6 D10, that's okay.
Or one the size of your fist.
What about the D100 that just rolls for infinity?
Oh, yeah. And like, you hope your house isn't slightly shifted, and it's like, and it goes down the, oh, that one went down the vent.
And you look at the top and you're like, where's the top? Which number is on top? Because it's like just
we were at a church one time, and this young kid was playing with his marbles or something and dropped them on the thing, and all of a sudden you hear him and at the end, the front of the church, because they kind of shifted downward. And rural old church, and he was watching. You hear all these marbles going, and all of a sudden they hit the grate down there where the hit vent and start dropping in. You hear them rolling all the way through the vents as they head down to the boiler room.
God,
kind of cool.
If somebody wants to believe that the world is flat, you just need to look at a D10 or D100 die.
Yeah.
You believe the world is flat.
Well, it's not flat.
What, you kidding me? Of course it is.
Anytime you look at it from any angle in space, it looks just a round pie shape, right? It's easier to get a 1 on a D4 than it is to get a 5 on a D20. 25% chance.
Than it is to get 5 or less on a D20. So we're talking statistics, probably.
Statistically, to get a 1 on a D4, you got a 25% chance of getting it. To get a 5 on a D20,
he's saying 5 or less, which is different than 5. But it's sort of like the idea of when you roll 2 6-sided dice, your average is always going to be, like most likely it's a 7, like or a 7 or 8 or something like that when you do it statistically and stuff. Yeah.
Typically 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
So if you're playing BattleTech and you know that you need to roll a 6, 7, or 6 or better with a pair of 6, it's like, the odds are in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
May the odds be in your favor.
Ooh, Dracula's America. That's a game I never got to play. And he's talking the bell curve.
Yeah.
Is that with a P of 0.04? Or is that what it is? Is that what it was? Dan goes, wait, the world isn't flat. Well, if you've been out in the fields as much as you've been talking about, it probably does seem flat, right? When you're out in those fields.
When you're looking from horizon to horizon and you just spend all day planting corn and soybeans. Like, will it ever end?
Yep. How does your painting finish off? I'm not overly happy with what I got done today because of my big problem, but I'm happy with in concept with some of the features and stuff that I did with the highlighting and the fire.
I got 2 mechs done tonight. And I just have 1 more, and then I got to flock these bases, and I'll be done with this project. So I should be done with them tomorrow, finish them out. Technically, I'm supposed to have about 2 hours to myself tomorrow, hopefully. I'll get those done, get them off my table, finish these vehicles, get them off my table, and then I'll just focus on these finishing off these
Mm-hmm.
Yankees. Need to get some pictures progress on them and post them up on our Iowa historical page.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Actually, something that I'm kind of interested in doing. As far as alternative historical games, and I just never seem to have time to do all the stuff that I want to do interest-wise. But one of the things I know I've talked to you about is maybe doing some 6 mil ancients to be able to play to the strongest. And so I'm interested in that because I never was really interested in doing ancients in the past, and I'm interested in that. But like, I could see myself. I've never really wanted to do American Civil War, but I'm starting to kind of come around to maybe someday doing some American Civil War. Like, it's particularly just to be able to paint it too. And it's never something. But one of the things that I wanted to do even more, and I think it's because I saw the show Alamo, is I wanted to do the Mexican American war, but I never found a range or a rule set that I really kind of like.
Old Glory, I think, covers it.
They do.
I think Curtis can confirm that, but Old Glory has a lot of Mexican American War style uniforms with their units. And if you look at some of them, it's like, I think these are Old Glories too, and there are a few individuals that do have the hats that they're the old style hats that were from that era mixed in with it, because they had uniforms from that era still being used by the regular troops.
Okay. Yeah, I might have to take a look at the Old Glories and see if I like those. I mean, in all fairness, I have to like the miniatures, and it has to be to my kind of like my interest. But I'll have to look at those. There was something about like the colors and I just thought it was a period that was really cool that I hadn't seen a lot of. And so, but getting back to what we were saying, I was thinking maybe someday I'll do American Civil War.
I've done a lot of 15s in American Civil War. I had a lot of armies of that era, and like I said before, I've sold off all my Napoleonics, my American Civil War, and a lot of my ancients that I had. And it's like there was a time I said, well, I guess I don't think I'll ever play these things again. And so I just unloaded them all.
Yeah.
It's like this table behind me. I used to be able to fill that entire table from one end to the other with nothing but Civil War miniatures or Napoleonics or ancients. Because there were times when I would, my one friend these are his miniatures. He used to own Alliance Miniatures, and you could buy stuff from him, just basically for the cost of the metal. So you buy the lead from him. It's like, I'll buy the lead, and he would spin it up and give you tons of stuff. And
I have. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I could just be painting. And I'd watch TV and paint at the same time back in the day.
Back in those days, you were painting miniatures for your miniatures. That's how many miniatures you were painting. Like each miniature, you would paint two sides to a battle, so they could all enjoy miniature games. Like each miniature within a Napoleonics army had its own set of miniatures as well.
Yeah, they had their own pets.
Dan says, topic for a future show could be miniature scales. But before that, we had a whole bunch of other stuff. After Dan was talking about the world is flat, Curtis says, brilliant. I knew something was off about it, Dan. Thanks, Curtis. Love you, man. Love you too. I'm with you.
Love you too, man.
We're all into this together. Old Glory, I think he's talking about. They do tons of period specific.
Yeah, it's period specific.
Have a whole Alamo line. Topics, miniature scales. Sold off all my ancients, 10mm Napoleonics and 15mm Flames of War. I still have some 15mm World War II.
Yeah, I can totally understand it. It's like there comes a time when you realize, like, man, my friend here, John, he started just giving away a lot of his stuff or selling it off because he's at almost 70 now, and he's like, I've had a couple of heart attacks already. Maybe one of these will kill me. So it's like, I don't want to have somebody come into the house and look at stuff and like, that looks like junk, and just throw it away.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there's a point where you want to declutter.
Yeah. And I was having that conversation with my wife the other day, and she's like, you really need to think about downsizing your collection, like a wall of miniatures. Yeah, maybe. It's like the other night I was talking with my son, and we were talking Warhammer 40K, and he was like, well, you got a bunch of 40K miniatures. Like, yeah, I got way too many 40K miniatures. It's like I started downsizing my 40K army again. I got rid of my Tau. I got rid of my Grey Knights. And now he's like, man, maybe we can start playing 40K again. Like, okay. If you want to.
Curtis says, I plan on doing Napoleonics in 28 millimeters now. In fact, anything I do in the future will be in 28 millimeters. Sorry, caps lock.
No, he's announcing it to the sky with a loud, booming voice.
I will ready to rumble. Anyways,
let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah, I will always do, as long as I'm miniature gaming, I likely will always do 28 to 32 millimeter, like, that sort of heroic scale, whatever you want to call it. I will always do that for certain things, but I'm starting to really, I think we all go through phases to some degree. I mean, I would think, and perhaps we all land to a certain spot too, and I just haven't. But I am starting to see the fun in painting some small scale stuff, and I've not completely done it, but I'm starting to see the fun in doing some 6 mil and some 15 mil, and it's not something I've ever really done much of in the past.
I like the 15 mils because you can get some detail in it, but you don't have to go hog wild and try to get all the buttons and everything in it.
Mm-hmm.
You can generalize colors,
and
make it look good. You don't have to get into finesse where you spend 2 hours on a single miniature versus you can spend 15 minutes on a single miniature.
True. I kind of also just like the look of all of the battalions in small, almost like you're looking at it from a helicopter. And even though they're not painted like, the way you would paint 28 millimeter, they look really good because they're so far away, like down. And it just like seeing like Vikings painted and, or let's say Germanic tribes, like, in Ancients painted and with all like different colors and stuff, and in mass scales and small scale miniatures, it just still kind of looks cool. And then it has the different gaming opportunity, which I guess maybe we'll have a topic in the future about scales again, because Dan had mentioned that. But he says, Curtis, as much 10 millimeter you paint, I figured we'd build those armies for yourself. I enjoyed painting them more than any other. So I think he's talking about the 28 millimeter. He says, I enjoy painting them more than any other scale. I really enjoy painting the painting side of things. Thousands by now, the 10 millimeter. Crazy when I think about it. It's fun to paint them. I see the results when all of it's done. That's for sure. Probably why I still paint them. Well, I also, as my quantity has gone down to nothing in my painting, but I still think about painting and stuff. I'm also, it steers me towards wanting to do the painting side more. And it's one of the, focusing on it. And I really think that I'll probably end up doing, as time goes on, more models and busts and stuff, just because I think that focusing on the painting itself is probably going to become something. And it's why I've invested recently in a lot more artist oil paints. And I'm looking at trying painting with oil paints, like Victor. Vic's Miniatures. He's really got me onto that. Like I really want to try doing that. There you go. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I need to finish this guy. I was working on him a year ago, and then I got started. Heck, it's been over a year now since I done a bust because I did a year ago. I did with Jon Snow.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, that was for your daughter, right?
Yeah. So like I was gonna start working on him. I just need to get back into it. There's something that said it's like about a bust. There's larger detail and you can make it look really nice.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a different, and also some of what would be curved on a 28 millimeter model in the face is flat, like on a bust. Like as you get up in scale, like you
Yeah.
get flatter surfaces, and so it becomes different to paint it. You know, like it's a different skill in some ways. Like it becomes slightly different.
Yeah, if you look at this little guy, who, if you remember him,
Yeah,
you see that face on there. That is painted on. There is no face.
yeah,
All you had was eyes. There's
Mhm.
no other detail.
Right.
Other, he had a beard and then his eye sockets, and I made his nose and all that stand out. And that's one thing, like you said, you start really learning some good skills sets when you're working on bus.
absolutely. It's fun. Well, Dan says, I've got some 10 millimeter Warmass minis that I'm looking forward to taking a crack at. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
He says those are nice.
Huh. And if you had a 3D printer, that's I missed it again. There was a Elegoo Saturn S, I think it was, and it was on a flash sale for $399 or something like that.
Okay.
And I looked at it, I was like, do I want to buy that now or not? And then now when I finally decided to go, it's like, but it's already up to $550 again. So
there you go.
I could have saved $150.
Well, I know when you'll be getting it next, when it's back on the flash sale.
Yeah.
You just have to, instead of asking yourself, you just have to click the button next time.
So just do it.
Yeah. I haven't been 3D printing as much lately, not for any particular reason. I really love it, actually. But I've just haven't been painting, and I need to get to painting some of my stuff that I have been doing. I got 4 more of these guys ready and another base, so I can make another tower of buildings for my 6 mil. And I actually did. I'm working on. He doesn't look any different than the last time you saw him, but I'm working on this guy a bit still, who's 6 mil, but he doesn't look 6 mil, but he's 6 mil for the model he is. He's 6 mil.
He's huge. If that was in the Warhammer,
that's 8 mil.
40K scale. Actually, big. He's huge.
Yeah, exactly. He's actually technically the 8 millimeter scale, but yeah, he would be like on, huge on a table. Exactly. But hey, gentlemen, it has been fun. I wish I stay. We usually stop at 10. I wanted to chill out a little longer because I was gone for a bit. I kind of felt stupid about that. And so, thanks for everybody for joining in, and for our the long haulers, Dan and Curtis making it to the end. Although Curtis probably has no problem doing that because I know his shows used to last like 8 hours. And that's when he wasn't doing his 24-hour special events. He did that once. I remember he did like some sort of crazy 24-hour kind of thing. I remember, and he did like a couple of them in a row or something. But I know his show, they used to do the paint chats for quite a long time. But yeah, good night, everybody. Thanks for joining in, and we will see you on the next one.
So 2 weeks from now, okay. Is that going to be our last one?
I'm thinking it probably would be, right? Because we've hit June 1st. I can't believe it's June right now. I know. Yeah, probably be our last one. You're probably right.
So that's going to be our one where we have all the guests on.
Yeah. So we'll have to arrange that.
So if you were on the show or you want to be on the show, that's where you can come on. So we just have a round robin.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
We'll start getting the invites sent out to everybody that wants to be on.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
All right.
We'll see you in a couple weeks over in my channel, and you guys all have a good one. We'll see you in a couple.
Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.